Okay, guys, hello, this is the Jurassic expert here, and today we're getting into the good stuff. Camp Cretaceous review, spoiler edition. I definitely want to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. So the intro that we've been seeing, that I even used in one of my thumbnails, of the T-Rex bursting through the Camp Cretaceous gate, that's just the intro for every episode, and that is pretty much the most that we're going to see of the T-Rex for the entire season. I would like to see a little bit more T-Rex, but I want to see it more in like a way that organically plays out into the script. Like it's not just like, oh, here you go, kiddos, here's a T-Rex for you. And I mean, you could say, well, the T-Rex did interact with with Darius during the VR. I'm not counting that though, just because it's like, in order to say that a dinosaur actually interacted with a character, in my mind, I think they actually have to be face to face. I'm okay with it though. I mean, we still see playing T-Rex because it's in every episode. It just would have been nice to see it at least like once in an organic way. There is an Isla Sorna teaser in the video game that Darius is playing that we first see, with the map that is obviously referencing to Isla Sorna because the map is literally of Isla Sorna. Then we see the resonating chamber. Okay, the resonating chamber, I love that they called back to that, but I gotta say something. I think their science is a little bit off. I mean, not to nitpick, but it's like, oh, it's just, this is the one of the little pricks that Camp Cretaceous had in me, and it could be just my science is off, but I don't know. I feel like I might be right on this one. The resonating chamber is made of bone. I thought it was made of flesh, similar to how like people have been finding the T-Rex brain fossils, for example. I mean, obviously there aren't any bones in the brain for it to fossilize, but it's a cast that used 3D imaging and was pretty much printed out, like 3D printer, and that's how they're getting the brain, and I thought that's what they were doing with the resonating chamber. Obviously something like that wouldn't be able to fossilize, right? I mean, they're not seriously implying that, right? I thought that's kind of what they were implying with Jurassic Park 3, though, was similar to, like, the T-Rex brain. They were just, like, finding a well-preserved specimen that had enough of the kind of cast of that so that they could make a print out of it. I don't know. I'm probably confusing you guys now, but episode 1, pretty slow for the most part. I mean, not slow, but it pretty much was just getting us warmed up to the characters and some of the situations we'll be seeing them in. So a lot of the characters are being introduced, and I kind of like the way the characters were introduced and how they got to Jurassic World, and we're even introduced to like the characters of the counselor Dave, who's supposed to be kind of cheesy and not so cool, trying to act cool but turns out to be not so cool counselor. Like, pretty much he's the adult that tries to act like the teenagers to be friends with the teenager. That's pretty much what he's like. Roxy is just, and I actually put this in my notes, just the normal counselor. She's just like, okay, just don't get yourselves killed, follow our rules, otherwise I'm good with you guys. And then we get into the characters, and I think it is kind of cool how they did it, because it kind of shows how people succeed into getting into high places in life. So Kenji, honestly, in the first episode, he totally came across as kind of like a spoiled brat that just got into Jurassic World due to his rich dad. Darius, my favorite character in the series, definitely. Just the dinosaur nerd. He was resourceful and very intelligent, and he actually had to work to get into Camp Cretaceous. Unlike all the other characters, I mean, you could exclude Dave and Roxy, but they're the counselors. Out of all the kids, he was the only one that actually had to legitimately work to get into the camp. He had to use his intelligence to get in. So then we have Yasmina. who was very shy and quiet. But throughout the show, she proved that at points she was kind of a badass. I mean, but the reason why she got in was because she's like this like superstar athlete that was sponsored by Jurassic World. So she got into Camp Cretaceous like that. Ben, well, he was scared of everything, kind of to the point where it was annoying, similar to Franklin Webb. And pretty much the reason why he was there was because his parents forced him, and his mom works with Mizrani. So again, he didn't actually have to work to get into Camp Cretaceous. And then we get Brooklyn, a lot of people's favorite. She is pretty much the internet sensation, but we do actually see something pretty interesting, and that is, like, she is being harassed by cyberbullies on the internet. The thing is, she got in because she was famous. Again, kind of like, didn't really have to work to get in. And then we get Sammy, who is the country girl. She has a really big family, very social, almost to the point where it's annoying. Like, it was revealed that, oh, she got into Camp Cretaceous because her family supplies food for Jurassic World. Well, just turn 180 on that. She actually got in because Manticore got her in, or I don't know, maybe there is some truth of that. I'm not sure. And then we get Bumpy, adorable, but there is something that I think will affect the series later on, and that is the rapid aging thing. That I think will play a big part into the plots of the series. Okay, first of all, okay, episode 1, we do get to see the Raptor Squad. I'm actually quite happy how that was blended in with the episode. It didn't feel too forced. I mean, it kind of felt a little forced, but it, for the most part, it seemed okay, actually. So, episode 2, we get the big pilot reference, which is an interesting reference, but there we go. There's that reference. They have to shovel up the big pilot. There we go. But in this episode, we also get to see Toro introduced, who I think was a pretty decent villain, and hints towards more aggressive dinosaurs that weren't listed or have been theorized might be on the island. Specifically Spinosaurus, Giganotosaurus. I can't think of anything else at the moment, but I'm sure somebody will bring it up in the comments. Kenji, kind of pulling more of that. He's a rich, spoiled brat, but he is a VIP member, and we get a reference to the maintenance tunnel, which is a callback to Fallen Kingdom when they're going through the maintenance tunnels to track Blue. Then we see the lab, where one thing that really has just been bugging me, the mammoth remains, right when Blue's cut off. I don't think this is too likely, but I don't know. I bet there's probably some website or some article or something that disproves me. The main thing that I can think of is that Colin Trevorrow himself said he didn't want this. It wouldn't be hard, though, for the creators of the show just to go behind his back and say, hey, we're doing this. But the mammoth remains might be a hint that they created mammoths on Jurassic World, and I wouldn't be disappointed. I would definitely want to see, like, Pleistocene animals introduced in Jurassic World. In this sequence, we also see Wu given an inflated ego. I know it's kind of hinted at, but part of me liked this, that they kind of emphasized on that. But part of me also didn't like it, because I kind of like the idea of him just wanting to do it, just wanting to create things just for the sake of creating things. Just being a scientist wanting to create something, and not really just doing it without just for an ego type thing. I don't know. I both liked it and I didn't like that. But in this episode, we also get to see a Spinosaurus skull, or a Spinosaurus skeleton with this skull circled on Wu's laptop. This could be hinting towards that potentially Spinosaurus might have been used in Indominus Rex, or there could be a Spinosaurus Gen 2 running around with a more paleontologically accurate head. Which is no secret that The dinosaurs have gone through multiple generations and look very, very different. But that's pretty much all I have to say. Episode 3, we get to see multiple variations of dinosaurs, kind of hinting more towards that multiple different generations of dinosaurs on Jurassic World. So we get to see like Brachiosaurus, Stegosaurus, and Parasaurolophus. We see Ankylosaurus, though, a lot in the valley. I was actually kind of confused by this because I thought they kept the Ankylosaurus separate from the valley. Because when Zach and Greg go over to the Ankylosaurus area, it was locked down. It was locked out away from the rest of the valley. I mean, it could just be like their feeding area or something like that. It could be a very simple explanation, but it's like, I don't know. I kind of like the idea of the Ankylosaurus being like one of the dinosaurs that you couldn't really have a gyrosphere next to. Also, in the valley, there were no Triceratops, which I found was very interesting since we do distinctly see Triceratops in the valley in Jurassic World. We also, in episode 3, we get to see more Sinoceratops action. I really like that since, I mean, Sinoceratops got a little bit of action in Fallen Kingdom, but not as much as I think it could have had. I mean, it fights the Carnotaurus for a little bit, then runs off, and we kind of see it in the background shots here. And then it is revealed that Sammy was working for Manticore, taking samples, doing the same thing that Nedry was doing for Biosim pretty much. And they actually referenced this by giving her a shirt with a similar pattern to Dennis Nedry's. Okay, episode 4. I just titled this as Gets Real. Okay, we start out the episode. Darius's dad is pretty much dying. It's revealed Darius's dad is dying at this point, but we're kind of getting a look at what he was like and all that. The dad was a huge dinosaur nerd like Darius himself. We also get to see the Indominus kill a Brachiosaurus. As I was saying in my spoiler-free video, the staff is killed by the Indominus Rex right in front of the kid, thus proving the rumors about the kids experiencing people getting eaten. But when the kids escape and Darius gets knocked out, and it kind of goes back to that flashback of pretty much Darius's dad in the hospital dying. That actually hit hard for me personally, because I know what it's like to lose a father at a young age, because I actually lost my own father when I was at a really young age. Not as old as Darius, but I get that struggle and how hard that is, but that kind of goes into when he has to decide between like getting the spirits of everybody from fighting, just get their spirits up, try getting them to get through this, or going to get the necklace, probably one of the only things that he has, any physical items left that he has left of his father that was given to him specifically. I know how hard that was to make that decision, how hard that must have been. Get like how sentimental that is and how hard it is to part with sentimental stuff like that. And through this we see Darius become the leader, kind of officially. I mean, it was kind of implied, but then at the end of the episode we get to see the Indominus Rex and Toro face off. Then it cuts off. We don't really get to see more of that encounter. I would like to see more of that encounter, and I would want to find out more. So why didn't the Indominus Rex kill Toro? I mean, in comparison, the Indominus Rex should pretty easily be able to kill Toro. Why didn't she kill Toro if she's just going on this murderous rampage? For episode 5, I love the shot of when they open the cabinet and all the radios are going off. I just thought that scene was so cool. As like the Indominus Rex is like killing off everybody. I did like the merge of the kids coming across the gyrosphere and the destroyed gyrosphere and killed Ankylosaurus. And then we get Eddie working for a rival company. Now this could be referring to Biosyn or Manticore, but I will say I need to judge Eddie for a moment. Who leaves 6 kids behind on a dinosaur-infested island when you have a vehicle that will fit all of them inside? I mean, I will say, when he got killed off on his birthday, that was pretty messed up. But then again, kind of going back to what I just said, kind of deserved it. The scene where the kids are trying to get around the Indominus Rex with all their shipping crates and all that. It was only until like the second time I was watching that I realized that that was a reference to the kitchen scene in Jurassic Park. The Indominus Rex is looking over, just not being able to see them. It goes around the corner, they're not there. Then we move on to episode 6. Manticore is officially introduced as the rival to Masrani Global. I think this could link to Jurassic World Dominion. Manticore came and picked up the pieces, and now Dodgson is part of Manticore. I mean, that's a theory that I have. I think that is likely to happen, I think. I did like that kind of new angle that they had of the Masrani versus the Indominus Rex scene from Jurassic World. I mean, it was definitely dramatic, but it didn't feel as dramatic as it was in Jurassic World, though. There were a lot of Pteranodon, but no Dimorphodon, despite the fact that in that same flock that attacked the helicopter and would have been there were Dimorphodon in there. But there weren't any in the show. We finally got to see the kayak river thing that we actually do see in Jurassic World, but then that links up with the bioluminescent Parasaurolophus sequence, which I love. I thought that was so cool. And also kind of showed the Parasaurolophus acting as a threat to the kids, jumbling around the boat. But one thing I gotta say, why was there a part of that tunnel that connects to the Mosasaurus enclosure? No barriers, no nothing. Why was that there? I mean, really. But I will say I did love the Mosasaurus scene, though. I love how it was kind of creating this sequence. I mean, that felt really intimidating. Like, can you imagine just being in a little rinky-dink kayak when you're facing off against a freaking Mosasaurus with only a paddle as any means of defense? Then we move on to episode 7. I mean, I will say Kenji kind of predicted what was going to happen. And in some ways, I blame Brooklyn. She jinxed them. I'm calling her out. No, I'm kidding. Most of episode 7, really, like, adrenaline pumping. They're having to get across the Toro to get onto the monorail. And then from there on out, it kind of slows down. But it allowed for some character development and for the characters to get to know each other a little bit better and kind of strengthen those bonds. I love that connection, though, with Pteranodon and seabirds, because that probably would actually be accurate, since they are theorized to be mainly waterborne hunters and probably be hanging out more towards the coasts and all that, and near rivers at least. I love the character development of Ben. Just being that annoyingly scared kid, but then in the end he's kind of braving up. I guess kind of similar to Franklin Webb in some ways, but it's more emphasized with this. Like, cliffhanger, just the tips of the fingers. That was brutal, man. That was brutal. I would be I would totally be like having a panic attack if that was the episode and then I had to wait another week to find out what happened. Episode 8. I just labeled this as holy. I mean, immediately, Ben falls to his quote-unquote death. That scene made me afraid for the characters now. Because then I was like, it wasn't just scary that, oh, they killed off a character. It shows the writers are not afraid with toying with that concept. How disturbing, to me at least, the concept of killing off a child. I mean, I know they're technically teenagers. Still, under 18, not an adult. Like, when this happened, I literally had to I just stopped, put my computer aside, and I actually had to get up and, like, do breathing exercises because I was not ready for that. I will say, when they have to jump off the monorail, though, and ditch Bumpy. Oh, how dare you ditch Bumpy, man. Gonna get some hate from me, I'm gonna be honest. You don't ditch Bumpy, man. That would be the equivalent of the Mandalorian ditching Baby Yoda. Those tunnel sequences, those were good, especially after seeing Ben die and then realizing, Okay, they could kill off one of the characters. They're not afraid of that right now. I did like the reference to Dear Stark with the compy though, when they get the jump scare by the compy and Kenji just zaps it similar to Dear Stark zapping the compy, and they're like judging him and they're like, are you kidding me? It's only like 2-3 feet tall. Kids versus Toro scene. Wow. That was amazing right there. They blew it up. They blew up Toro. I have a corny joke that kind of references to the Game Beaver, but some could say that it's toast. The Carno was toast. And the end. The fairies left. Kids are trapped on the island now. I think there now has to be at least 3 seasons because of this. Okay, season 2. Kids need to get off the island. Before Camp Cretaceous came out or anything like that, they were saying that when the A season should come out right around the time Dominion comes out. Maybe a little later, I'm assuming. But because they said that because they were saying that there was a direct connection between Camp Cretaceous and Dominion. And I don't think Manticore is the direct connection there. I mean, I think it is a connection, but Ben is alive. They teased that at the end. Ben is alive. What are you wanting to see in season 2 of Camp Cretaceous? I'd love to hear your thoughts on Camp Cretaceous overall in the comments down below. And yeah, so as always, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell to get notified whenever I put new videos like this one. And as always, dinosaurs might be older than you, but you are never too old for dinosaurs. Bye-bye.